Okay, so since the American people are stupid, or let's just say willfully ignorant, they don't actually know when Donald Trump got elected. Most Americans think that Donald Trump got elected on election night, right, when everybody voted, and then the TV told them that Donald Trump had won. Well, hell, Donald Trump's the winner. The TV told me so. Well, that's not the case. In fact, he didn't become president until the Electoral College voted for Donald Trump. So while Hillary Clinton did get the popular vote, right, so the majority of Americans didn't want Donald Trump. They wanted Hillary, so that should be a cloud of illegitimacy for Donald Trump's, campaign or his presidency, but it's legal, right? So most Americans think that the election happened on Election Day. The election didn't happen on Election Day. The election actually happened when the electors voted. The 538 members of the Electoral College voted December 19th, and so that was when Donald Trump actually got voted in. That's when his presidency became legit. The reason why we have the Electoral College, according to Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers, was to refine the opinion of the stupid masses. The stupid masses could all get together and just vote for some demagogue that'll send this country straight to hell. Well, we don't want that, so we got the Electoral College here, and these are the elites. So once the people fuck up and they vote for some crazed, maniacal, right-wing psychopath, well, now you can have the elites correct that opinion and vote for the ones that they actually want to vote for. So theoretically, it is very possible that the country could vote for one candidate, the majority of the states, even the ones with enough of the so-called Electoral College votes, but the electors get up there and they don't vote for who their state said that they wanted them to vote for. Well, when they do that, that's called a faithless elector. They're a faithless elector, and the reason why, even though it's legal, it's clearly wrong, right? It's clearly wrong. If this is, in Colorado, they voted for Hillary Clinton. If you're an elector from Colorado and you go vote, and then, and you vote for a different candidate, well, that's clearly wrong. The state didn't want the person that you voted for. The state picked somebody else. So it's clearly wrong, but even though it's clearly wrong, we still have the Electoral College. The Electoral College is still here. Why do we have the Electoral College? Fuck the Electoral College. It's totally democratic and it's antiquated, and the whole concept is anti-democratic, to undo the opinion, to undo the will of the people if they pick somebody dumb, because you need to refine their opinion. The elites, the big white landowning plantation owners back in Alexander's days needed to, fix the problem that the people had voted for. And if you don't think that, you're not willfully ignorant, then who were your electors? You're a voter in America? Okay, well then, who voted on your behalf? Are you sure your vote even counted? Did your electors vote for the candidate that the state had actually voted for? Did they, were they a faithless elector? Do you even know? And that's important, because who chooses those electors? Where do those electors come from? They're the ones that, out of 300 million people, only 538 are going to vote for the president. That's it. Only 538 people's vote matters. That's it. That's all that matters in the presidential election, are those electors in the Electoral College. So December 9th, we had 7 faithless electors, 7 people who voted a different way than how their state had done. You had David Mullenix, who pledged to vote for Hillary Clinton. He went ahead and voted for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders did get an electoral vote. But out of all the deflectors, you got Christopher Supron, who voted for John Kasich. Bill Green voted for Ron Paul. Levi Guerrero, that's a teenage woman, a 19-year-old. Levi Guerrero is, savvy enough, smarter than most of the average American people who voted. She voted for Colin Powell. You have Esther John, who voted for Colin Powell. Peter Brett Chiafalo, who voted for Colin Powell, and then Robert Sadicum Jr., who voted for Faith Spotted Eagle, a Democrat from South Dakota, an activist against the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone Pipeline. Faith Spotted Eagle. So Faith Spotted Eagle got 1 vote out of those 535 electors to become president. Did you know that? Did you know that that had all happened? So that was the Texas vote. Christopher Supron, if there was, the point wasn't to try to vote for somebody else. These faithless electors, they either were doing a symbolic thing, or for the Republicans, that you deprived him of the majority. So that means, he was supposed to get the majority of the 538, but if it came to the point where he got, more than everybody else, but he didn't get the majority, so he got a plurality but not a majority, he would actually not become president. It would go to the House of Representatives, and then the House of Representatives would vote on the presidential election. So there was a huge campaign last year to get 37 Republicans to deflect. If they weren't trying to find somebody else to, they weren't trying to get them to vote for Hillary Clinton, they were just trying to deny Donald Trump the majority. So then that kind of puts us in a state of flux, and we're left without a president. Now we got to figure out what the hell to do. Well, we got to go to the House of Representatives. That's what happens. That's the next step. Levi Guerrero, she picked Colin Powell because she wanted a moderate Republican, just to kind of show how extreme he is. Here's a moderate Republican, and this is how extreme this other guy is. So this is pretty exciting. John Kasich got 1 electoral college vote, Ron Paul did, and Bernie Sanders did, and Faith Spotted Eagle, and Colin Powell got 3 electoral college votes. So that's remarkable. When I keep telling everybody that in order to be distinguished or to be notable, you got to vote for an independent, these 7 are notable, and they're, they made history, and the history that they made was that they were doing as the Constitution had, allowed them to do. The Constitution was set up for a special purpose, and that's what they did. They were implementing that special purpose. They saw the people vote for a demagogue that they didn't like, so they were going to refine the opinion of the masses. And you had, David Millenix, Christopher Supron, Bill Green, Levi Guerrero, Esther John, Peter Brett Chiafalo, and Robert Sadiacum Jr. all did that. So out of the 538 electors, 7 of them distinguished themselves by being independent, by not going along with the flow. And where were these? It was a Hawaii one. David Millenix is from Hawaii. 2 of them are from Texas. Christopher Supron and Bill Green, and then 4 of them were from Washington. The interesting thing about Washington is that they got fined $1,000. So even though they broke, with tradition, they did what was constitutional. Washington had some state laws that said you would get fined $1,000 if you didn't vote for who you were supposed to vote for breaking their pledge. So they were trying to appeal the fine, but Washington fined Levi Guerrero, Esther John, Peter Brett Chiafalo, and Robert Sadiacum Jr. $1,000. So that not only did they, stand up and go against the flow, they distinguished themselves, they became notable people, but they also incurred a $1,000 fine. So if you want to know the constitutionality of the $1,000 fine, there was a Supreme Court case, Ray v. Blair, 1952, where it said that it was okay for the states to pass laws requiring the electors to vote for who the state told them to vote for. So this goes against the Constitution, so I think this is actually, this would be a fascinating sort of Supreme Court decision, but they said the majority of the Supreme Court in 1952 says it was okay for states to go ahead and fine their electors to vote for how they said that they wanted to, but that goes against the Constitution, and that's what Justice Robert H. Jackson said. He said, "No one faithful to our history can deny that the plan originally contemplated what is implicit in its text, that electors would be free agents to exercise an independent and nonpartisan judgment as to the men best qualified for the nation's highest offices." He's right. He's right. So I'm not for sure if the $1,000 fine is going to stick or not, but that's, it just makes Levi Guerrero, Esther John, Peter Brett Chiafalo, and Robert Sadiacum Jr. that more heroic. They are that much more heroic because they incurred, not just, they had to be knowledgeable, they had to know what the fuck was going on, right? And then they had to get in that position of power. Once they got in that position of power, then they had to say, no, the whole nation is watching this. Right, and they stood up, they said no, and they incurred a $1,000 fine. So, some history to this. You had 6 electors who defected from James Madison in the 1808 election. So, the 7 electors actually broke a record, right? You never had that for a living president. You never had so many defectors from a living president. You had a presidential candidate. Horace Greeley, he had 63 of his 66 electors vote for somebody else, but that's because he had died after the election day, but before the Electoral College. So Horace Greeley, we could have had a president, Horace Greeley. Like, this is news to me, but, you know, that happened. There's only been a few times when the president won the Electoral College, but they didn't win the popular vote. 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes became president when Samuel J. Tilden was chosen by the people. Benjamin Harrison became the president, even though Grover Cleveland was picked by the American people in 1888. Grover Cleveland got the majority of the vote, right? That's how democracy is supposed to win, or how it's supposed to work. Majority rules. And so the majority of the people wanted Grover Cleveland, but guess what? Benjamin Harrison in 1888 became president. Same thing with George W. Bush and Al Gore in 2000, and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So in 2000, Al Gore had the, popular vote. More people voted for Al Gore in 2000, and more people voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. But lo and behold, we got George W. Bush and we got Donald Trump. So you could thank the Electoral College for that. Now, here's the curveball. This is the case example that we should pay attention to. A lot of people used to look at the Constitution to, answer questions of constitutionality. But here we got in 1824, this is the extent that overthrowing the popularly elected president can go. You have Andrew Jackson is going to get fucked over by John Quincy Adams. 1824, Andrew Jackson wins the popular vote. He don't just win the popular vote, he wins the Electoral College, but he only won a plurality. He did not secure a majority in the Electoral College. So once that, Donald Trump, if he would have been denied the 37 Republicans, it would have gone to the House of Representatives. Why do I know that? Because of what happened in 1824. So Andrew Jackson got the highest popular vote. He had the most electoral votes, but, and this is crucial, he didn't have a majority in the Electoral College. Despite having lost the popular vote and having received fewer electoral votes than Andrew Jackson, the House of Representatives chose John Q. Adams to become president. Well, they call that the corrupt bargain in history. It's Henry Clay. Henry Clay had, curried favor from John Quincy Adams, and so when it went to the House of Representatives, I believe he was the Speaker at the time, he was able to get the House to vote against who the majority of the Electoral College and who against the plurality of the Electoral College and the majority of the American people. So in 1824, the American people did not get who they chose. They didn't get who most of the Electoral College, the plurality of the Electoral College chose. They got who the House of Representatives picked, and the House of Representatives picked John Quincy Adams because Henry Clay didn't like Andrew Jackson, and he, would have kept more power under John Quincy Adams. So he made a deal with John Quincy Adams. He was able to get, I think, Secretary of State. So Henry Clay is Secretary of State. John Quincy is the president, and Andrew Jackson is, off on the side playing with themselves, crying about how he just lost because he didn't read the Constitution. So that's how the American system works. The reason is because you're stupid. And guess what? That's the reason why, the Electoral College is there. The masses are stupid, and if they pick somebody stupid, then the Electoral College can actually pick who they think is best. So, yes, all this is complicated and dumb, and that's why I think we should just throw it out in favor of a, just a majority system or a ranked choice system. That's the only fair way that there is. The entire nation should have ranked choice voting, but neither Republicans nor Democrats will do that because it encourages independence, and they are, they're competitors, so they don't want any competition. It's better for democracy to have more choices and more voices, but it's not good for the two parties. The two parties just want them to. They don't want any other competition. If you allow other people in the process, well, you got a chance that they might win. Well, they don't like that. They don't like the possibility that an independent might win, so they very much will fight against it. So that's why we'll never see ranked choice voting, and that's why we'll never see democracy in America. We'll still have the Electoral College 100 fucking years from now because, the two-party system doesn't allow for us to change, our democracy to where it's actually democratic, where the people actually have a say-so, where the people rule. Demos, rule by the people. The people do not rule the United States. What if nobody tells me they don't like what I'm doing? I guess when I don't get any views, People are resoundingly telling me, we don't like what you're doing. Well, fuck. I'm trying here.